like to hear that.
No one listens to Haley.
I like listening to Haley.
It's not fun.
She isn't making sense all week.
She has.
Me?
Yes.
Why?
Surprisingly.
Hey, don't question.
Didn't you point out several things last
I
class?
don't like this.
I don't know. Sure.
It's a first.
We're gonna do.
Daniel?
Where is the bowl? And we're gonna put the hips up.
Okay, I-
Hold arms first, you can.
Here, Alex, you just have to tell them to be quiet.
Yeah, just yell at them to shut up. That's what I do.
Okay, I'm asking where is the bone most likely to break, and is it due to its structure? It mainly focuses on the skeletal system due to being bones, but can also affect the circulatory system, can affect all other systems, mainly the circulatory, your muscular, and your skeletal, because your circulatory, your bones hold your red bone marrow and yellow bone marrow, which create your red blood cells and white blood cells. And then it'll affect your muscular because some breaks will tear muscles and ligaments and everything that has to go with that. And then obviously you're breaking bones for the skeleton. So I did mine on the femur. It's one of the most broken bones because most of your weight is supported into your femurs. Is they are a single bone in your thighs. The two main structures in a bone are the spongy bone, which looks porous, which when some people get older, they get osteoporosis, which is when the pores of their bones get bigger and weaker, and those structures there will start to deteriorate and won't be able to support. So if you ever hear of a grandma breaking their hips, it's most likely due to osteoporosis because their hips are weaker, and the hips consist mostly of spongy bone. The main part of the bone is the diaphysis and the medullary cavity. They're the same part. It's a hollow cavity that runs the shaft of the bone, the long part of the bone. The spongy bone makes up the epiphysis, or the end points of your bone, the balls where your pivots. My hypothesis is due to the diaphysis being hollow and not being nearly as dense with all the pores, which are like spider-like structures, spiderweb-like structures, or a sponge-like structure. It was more likely to break along the hollow diaphysis. Most bones will break in the center due to it being hollow, if not at the edge of the diaphysis and the epiphysis. But bones do break along the epiphysis, and usually it will break and it'll hurt a lot more because it's breaking a much denser bone. Different types of breaks along your epiphysis. The capital, which is taking the cap off of one of the balls. Subcapital is taking it from the bottom of that ball. The transcervical, which is taking that whole ball off, including where it attaches to a bone. The I didn't figure out how to say either of these, but that one's going down the center and cutting through both of the balls. And that one is breaking at the joint of the epiphysis and diaphysis. The types of bone fractures, on this side you're most likely going to have your stress fractures, and this is going to be more of your breaks. This one kind of fits over here more, but it can turn, that one's more likely to turn into a break because it's harder to pin or keep from breaking. So transverse is straight across your bone. Linear is going along the bone, so your bone will often splinter. And then the non-displaced is kind of a mixture of both, so it'll splinter and it's not very straight. The displaced or compound will often break the bone right in half, and then it'll go outside your leg, which a lot of you probably haven't seen. It's very nasty. Spiral is a displaced, but not all the way through the bone. It's still considered a break though. A green stick is a break that breaks the bone along the side or through a bone. It's a linear break all the way through the bone, which is it's starting to splinter. The commuted is breaking at multiple places and transverse. I lost my my resources, but I do have a video.
Is somebody in a brick wall?
Yes.
I'm not watching.
It's only 42 seconds. Oh wait, we did it under.
feel my legs after I watch it. I'm not gonna watch it.
What's happening?
Old horses.
Everyone run for your life.
Do you know what you're doing?
Yes, I do.
Why didn't you just unhook it if you had radio?
I didn't unhook it. Hit exit and then did it itself.
You just do you.
Just pull the plug and put it back in. It should automatically search again.
It's not bad, you'll be okay. You don't show it.
Michael's broken femur.
Oh. So, it comes down and it lands and it snaps.
Nice.
Not bad, my ass.
Oh, he deserves it. He deserves it. Look at that hair. He
Yeah.
Keep going.
God, he looks so douchey.
But that one broke near, it was about quarter of the way up from the knee on his diaphysis. But,
Nice
so
Osiris.
I need Mason, Daniel, and Gracie,
Why?
because I'm using these examples.
Broken.
Daniel. Gracie, Mason. Okay. Stand in a line. Okay, so the most broken bone is the femur due to it supporting our structure, but also depends on the person. Daniel, being tall and very slim, has longer and skinnier femur. Mason is shorter and a little bit more built, so he has a shorter and thicker femur, but Gracie is short and skinny, so she has a short and thin femur.
You're screwed.
So she's more likely to break it if she were to hit something. Daniel and Mason are less, but Daniel between Mason and him are more because he has a thinner and skinny. It depends on the person. So some people like Mason have thicker bones because they're more muscular and their body adapts to that. Well, Daniel is still muscular, but he's skinnier, so his body has lighter bones. Gracie is light, skinny, and all of it, so she has thinner bones that are more fragile, but she doesn't really, is not more likely to do it because she doesn't do the athletics like Mason and Daniel as much. Everyone understand that? Get what I'm saying?
Did you say fragile?
Fragile.
Who cares?
I have a question.
Yes?
Are you, wait, are you done?
Yes. Yeah?
Were these three people okay with you?
Were you okay with me calling you that?
No.
You should have asked them before class.
It's a safe thing to
Yeah,
do when
they
you're
are-
doing a presentation, to ask them ahead of time, because they all could have said no.
Yeah.
And then that part of your presentation kind of gets screwed up.
Thank you for volunteering. Let me sit. Any
You
more
didn't
questions?
didn't
Thank
volunteer.
you for being voluntold. Taylor.
Alright, so in the beginning of this, you said it affects all of your body systems. How does it affect your reproductive, your skin, and your endocrine system?
Well, compound fractures will break your skin, and also since it being tied into your circulatory system, your blood and your circulatory system, if you have issues with your blood, most times it'll affect your circulatory system because it doesn't circulate blood properly to your skin. Like if you get frostbite, that's from your blood not going to your skin and it'll kill those skin cells. The reproductive, if a woman breaks their hip, they can have complications during birth. Males, they can have complications with the urinary and all that stuff when they break a hip. And then, what was the other one that you asked?
Endocrine.
That one is breaking your lungs, any bone up here, if it punctures properly, it can puncture something and create sepsis.
Okay, because your endocrine is your pancreas and part of your kidney.
Yes, if you break,
adrenaline.
if you break a rib, if you break a rib properly, it can shatter into your gut system, and it can puncture that and cause sepsis. Which sepsis will cause your body systems to shut down.
What will kill me the fastest? Breaking
Breaking your neck,
Oh yeah.
because that'll sever your spinal cord and then you're dead.
Okay.
You did a
Do
good job
it.
with trying to BS your way through the endocrine system, but you kind of lost your audience on that part, because we knew it was BS. Yeah.
Well, endocrine system is your adrenaline, most of your chemical systems. So your bones can affect it, but it's less likely to affect that out of all the systems, because that's mostly your pancreas and liver, which there's not a lot of bones around. But it still can happen, anything really. Yes?
When you started your presentation off, that just like bored me to death right there.
What about it though? Help him out with what about it didn't.
I'm going to have to do this, and he did the name of his presentation.
Interesting, okay.
You use a lot of big words that I didn't understand some of them. I
You
can't tell if
didn't
you actually know what they
understand
mean or if you're just saying them because they sound
I know
smart.
what they mean. I went
Okay.
and searched.
Well, then you should explain them.
I
I usually put that in your presentation.
You talked really fast and kind of stuttered on your words, so you would just slow down a little bit.
I was gonna say that you use a bunch of big words.
I don't have a problem with the big words that you use, but they're right, and you
Yeah, I
have to take
needed,
into consideration your audience. So when you use that, you need to use it in context the entire way, but at some point you do need to explain what it is in relationship to what you're talking about.
So we're back to thinking about thinking?
Trevor?
Thinking about other people?
Don't stare at Mr. Schneider.
Come on.
I did.
Yes.
I realized that.
I really wanted to see, and maybe Mrs. Keller will bring it up too, but I really wanted to know how much force it takes to break a bone at each of those levels, and or when it's not, when it's osteoporosis or when it's not. I really wanted to know that.
I've got bones, and I've been still designing, and I'm still in the design of the tool per se to test that. So I was working on it, but then I got stuck at the point of how to go about it.
And that information's not shared with us during the presentation because
I forgot about it.
you forgot that you're in the midst of doing an experiment?
Yeah.
No, you didn't.
For
Because you
shame.
just told us that. That's BS.
How much force is needed to break a bone? 2.72 million results.
I love it when you tear people apart.
Well, it's just like Brooklyn too. Brooklyn and Hunter both had things that Brooklyn and Hunter both had things that they didn't get into their presentation or things that went wrong. Share that with your audience. Share them that you've got ongoing research, those kinds of things. You guys don't be afraid to share the stuff that you don't know the answer to. Goodness.
I got this figured out. This is the next thing. I'm either working on that or I'm not.
Yes.
Yes.
The douche.
I will punch you in the nuts.
Ow! It hurts. Call my dad.
I'm not 100% certain that by I'm not 100% certain that by showing us the different types of bone fractures, you've proven your thesis.
This video is sponsored
How
by
I was
Osiris.
trying to explain it
Parker.
was bone on
This is
the
an ongoing thing that needs to change.
epiphysis is more dense, it has more calcium, more calcification there, while the diaphysis, or the shaft of the bone, is hollow, and it doesn't have as much density as the epiphysis.
But if your diaphysis is hollow, don't you have other problems?
Yes. Well, the point I was thinking of is it has less structure to support it. If you were to have more struts under a house, or more beams, more pillars, it's less likely to break, while a hollow one is more likely to break because it has less supports.
Look at all
But
those
what did
things.
you do to prove that? You said that. But what did you do to prove that?
Where's the science to back that up? Where's the math to back that up? That you're gonna have to add that. You're gonna have to convince your audience that it's not just being, yeah, I can tell you that it's like sun shining outside, but if I can't prove that, you know,
Any other questions?
I hated your coloring on your slides, I thought it was really difficult to see.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Okay. And your pictures, where you've got the 5 different, pictures of was it central and something else, I can't quite remember what all the terminology was. Down, that one, one more, down one more,
This one?
that one right there. I really want you to take the time, I want you to take those apart, I want you to blow them up so that we can see what it is that you're looking at.
Yeah, I got bored on this page.
That's it.
It's hard to see it all.
It is.
Okay.
It kinda is. And on the next one, almost the same thing, but I think those need to be side by side. You need to work on your definitions just a little bit.
Yes.
Yeah, and how to pronounce your words.
You did a really good job on most of the words. When you tell us that you didn't know, you didn't find out how to, that just is a lazy aspect. Don't tell us that you didn't find out. A lot of times you can redneck it and your audience will know, but
And on your last page,
oh, get them, Trevor.
don't put that on a PowerPoint.
And
Just
don't-
tell
yeah.
us.
I'll throw a flag on that all day long.
Nothing.
I'm going to throw
Also,
the,
you capitalize the L, which is really.
Yeah.
well, maybe he was on the plane that went down.
It did it itself, yeah,
You should
Uh-huh.
put a slide saying
Visual reference.
that the video is going to be graphic
Yeah.
because
It wasn't
I-
very graphic. I found other
For
ones that
some
will actually
people-
show the broken compound fracture.
Alex, you.
That one was
somebody
the
else-
graphic.
You were- If I didn't
He
ask,
said
were
it's
you
not
gonna
that
tell us
bad.
that it was kinda bad?
Mine not that bad and his not
That's
that
it. That's
bad.
an excellent question. I want you to answer.
Yeah, I
Erica.
don't really
What?
care, but
If I wouldn't have asked, would you have told us that it was graphic?
He didn't even say his graphic.
That
He
No,
said
wasn't.
you
it's
just-
not
I
that
said
bad.
this is kind
Whoa,
of
whoa,
bad,
whoa,
but
whoa.
not very bad.
No, you said
You
it's
don't get
not
to
bad.
decide what's
Yeah.
graphic, your audience does.
That wasn't that bad.
Right, and it's kind of there. I
Doesn't
would
even
have
have
been
sound.
thrilled to death to see the bone pop out of his
Same.
skin.
Same.
I probably
Nope.
told
But
us
some
about
of your
the
audience
song.
may not.
I was just playing, man.
I was very
Erica's absolutely correct. Your audience should be forewarned ahead of time. I'm going to show a bone being broken. It's maybe graphic to some members of the audience.
And just
Parental
delete that
advice.
slide, please.
And you probably should have even said, the bone is broken, is the leg bone, and it stays inside of his pants, it's not gonna come out, but it's gonna bend in a goofy place.
Yeah.
And with all that
And if
being
that
said,
bothers you, look away.
I'm still not 100% certain why we saw it.
Tush, I was trying to show how it doesn't happen. It happens instantaneously. It doesn't happen very slowly, like
Yeah,
a compound fracture
Did you
goes.
put that all together for us at the end?
No, I didn't.
yeah,
Gotta
and
do
you
that.
showed
And
us,
some bone
that
fractures do
actually,
happen
like-
slowly. It starts with stress fracture.
I said not all.
6
I
minutes.
was showing that most of the time it happens instantaneously.
and
I
you
have
showed us
one
that
more
after.
Sophomores, your lack of attention is irritating.
Instead of like that video, maybe you could have showed us like an actual bone.
And how they break.
Yes.
That's what part of my other research is. I just haven't.
Well, like showed us in the video. Like
I don't-
showed a video.
That's what I'm working. I looked for videos of bones just breaking, like someone taking a weight and doing it. I couldn't.
Well, and again, we'll forgive you if you tell us that the process is ongoing.
Yes, this isn't complete. This was more of my research that I compiled.
You should have showed us the video before you showed us this last slide of yours.
Yes, I know.
I
What?
feel
You
like
know,
you just
if you
threw
knew
this
that-
together today.
Because
You
I
should've done
figured
it.
you were done after your research.
Any other questions? Once, twice.
You should ask Mrs. Keller if she has any.
Do you have any questions, Ms. Keller?
I think everyone covered it. I just wanted to know more about the force, the mathematical components, of course.
Okay.
Yeah, me too. And I usually don't, but I really want to, because to me, I know that it takes a lot to break a bone. It's not such an easy concept.
Video of bone breaking experiment, 36,800 results.
Yeah, maybe show comparisons of how much force it takes to break different types of bones.
You found
Like
some?
you talked about hollow versus solid, but
And to you too,
Maybe
that.
if you're,
everything has been done.
Probably my
before.
wording.
Seriously, all
And
you
Alex
use
would
the
have,
one
like,
video and snap it. That's basically the same thing as the femur.
I think
you know, you need the microphone for Alex.
No, I don't.
Taylor, shut up. Alex, you stole the thing.
No, I didn't.
Okay, now it's our turn to tear Daniel off.
When he puts his slide up here for his title slide, I'm gonna address that for everybody real quick too, so I can only go once.
What?
I'll tell you in just a second. No, I'm just looking out the window. Alright, so, before he ever starts, I wanna address titling things.
Oh, Jesus.
So, when you title things, don't give us a topic, give us something to look forward to. It could be the answer to the question that you are trying to research, it could be a lot of different things. Alex put the question up there, but it's like when you title a paper, we're not just putting a topic up there, we're putting up not only the topic, but the results of your research in your title. It's much more like a newspaper headline than, you know, a third grade book. Daniel, you're gonna wanna steal the Swivl thing from them.
From Alex.
Yes.
Who has it? And here's the thing.
I don't want the swivel thing though.
There you go.
No.
Oh, and here comes the snow.
Booyah!
Everybody around us is already getting out at 12:30.
Well, Trips canceled school at 6:30 last night, so of course
There are words to describe
this
that.
is
Right, Daniel, you have the floor.
We are gonna go.
I know, but it's just
All
literally
you be
just laid
quiet.
out. I'm not doing anything.
Go for it.
He's asked, which means you as the audience need to pay attention.
I'm gonna cry.
I don't care. Okay. So, I picked why tendons become tight, and I did a couple of different things with it. I did why do they become tight, ways to fix them, and why you can cut some tendons but not others. What does it feel like when your tendon is tight? It feels like the whole area around that tendon and the muscle surrounding it is getting pinched. So if your calf was tight, it would be all through here, which the calf muscle and then the tendon connecting there would all hurt. The tendons are in the musculoskeletal system, and they connect the muscle. This in your forearm or in your arm. They connect the muscle to the bone. What causes tendons to become tight? It'll repetitive use. So if you're like in kind of position, even if you're in an office job, that causes different tendons to become tight because you're sitting in one spot all day. So they're not getting used, and then not getting used causes them to become tight. Genetics will cause them to become tight. So like if your ham toes can be genetic, where that tendon controlling the front of your toe or any part of your toe, if it was genetic where it was not going to become to the proper length, it will cause it to cut tight. And another reason toes get ham toes is from improper footwear. So if your toes can't lay tight in your shoe, it will cause ham toes. How can you fix a tight tendon? You can do stretching. It is an easier way to go, but if it's severe tightness, you can't get it stretched out. You have to go with the second option, which is surgery. There are different ways you can have lengthen the tendon. You can go with a small incisions in the tendon, and then since it's tight, it'll naturally pull it apart and it'll re-heal, so it's to the longer length. A Z-shaped cut is made in the tendon, and then it'll stretch out, and then they refasten it together. This is the most exact way of controlling how much it stretches. So, because it'll only go, and then when they refasten it, it'll heal back together in that position. There are more ways, but these are two of the most common and preferred ways. Why can you cut some tendons and not others? The main reason is it depends on the function of what part the tendon controls. So like
in a toe, the main function is to help support and add to your balance. So you can cut one tendon, and since there's a tendon going to each separate part of your toe, like each different section, you will still have control over it, not quite as much, but you'll still have some control. Whereas if you would have a tight tendon in your hand, which is not it's like uncommon, I don't know if it happens, but just say if you would have a tight tendon, and you would have to cut the tendon in your hand, you would lose the whole function of the thumb, because it's used to bend and pick up things. So it's all depends on the function. Like in the hand, you would have to do surgery. This the resources for the info, and these are for my 2 pictures. And that's it.
Don't put your stuff away.
I know that.
I'm gonna nail you on your, so who did your chest eval for you?
My Uncle Brian,
Okay.
which is a surgeon.
And he didn't notice that you had there and loose wrong?
It's technically grammar, as far as I know.
Those are spellings, right?
Oh well.
You need to, and I know it always seems like we pick on Daniel for his spelling, but you especially need to, and anybody who's terrible at spelling, you need to have somebody look at your stuff specifically for that kind of stuff.
Chris
It's
is
one of those
supposed to be smart. She
Well,
wasn't.
it's just one of those things. If you're terrible at spelling, have somebody look at your stuff just for spelling.
Yeah,
It's an okay thing to accommodate yourself for.
Parker.
So what's hammer toe?
It's where your toe bends and you'll not go back to its flat position.
Yeah.
So if, like, say my finger was toe, it would be like where it's like this all
Okay.
the time. And it's painful.
Which leads me to the science of your presentation, and maybe I'm the only one that didn't get this part. But, so you're basically equating hammer toes to all type tendons.
Well, it's just one example.
Did you mention that?
No.
So the implication, our inference then, is we walk away thinking all type tendons are hammer toes.
No.
Okay?
Can you stretch your back the same with
There's different
when
stretches.
you do this, you know how high my thumb goes?
Yeah.
I mean, and that's it, that's as far as they are. They're completely different. Why?
Just because the length of the tendon.
Because this is the one I throw with, and I've torn up my shoulder playing baseball. And this one doesn't go anywhere near the same place as the other one does.
Why can't mine go the same?
Because
They're not supposed to go
You
the
probably use one more than the other, and your musculature is different, and therefore your
same.
tendons are different. But that's just one other example. If you're looking for examples.
I didn't think about that. The hammer toe is what my uncle
Right,
gave
Right.
me.
and that's one you have personal experience with, but did you go looking for examples?
In 2 ways you could have handled this. You could have either expanded it out, right? Or you could have personalized it. We didn't get the narrative from you about that being your experience. So then we get this scientific evidence that comes across as a non-narrative that's about one example, knowing that there's multiples out there. So you either need to make it much more personable in giving that personal narrative, or you need to expand your science behind it. I think you need to expand the science a little bit anyway.
Does your uncle have like 1,000 examples? Did you come up with 5 or 6 that you could put in there?
He didn't give, he could, but he didn't give me like examples. He just gave the camera toe because it's.
Did you ask?
Right, but he answered the questions that you asked of him, right?
Well, he answered and went 200 times too far.
Yes. But when you ask a science person a question about a specific thing, they go right there and then they go down. They drill down deep into that. And they don't go like this, right? You have to know that.
Go back to a picture for us and then answer Haley's question. Go ahead, Haley.
Oh, I wanted to see his first page of resources.
Oh, go ahead, and then we'll come back to this. Way too small.
Is the and is the third one down the one where you're whoever you interviewed? Yeah.
Yes.
That's funny. I don't think are you alphabetical?
Yeah.
It is so hard
I
to tell.
don't think so. Go to the second slide.
Oh, there you go, you're not.
Oh!
Fail!
Well then.
This just
Now, Daniel, go back to that picture of the two and two bodies.
That's what you do.
Alright, here's, you guys listen, you guys are so in tune with doing PowerPoints, but you missed the best part of the PowerPoint. And that you can make those things large enough for your audience to see. I want to. You're not going to run out of notebook paper, you're not going to run out of space. Blow those things up for us, so that we can see what it is that you are looking at, and then spend some time with it. So, you have the tendons are included in the musculoskeletal system, what they do, but you spend almost the majority of your time talking about how to fix it for a specific instance of a tight tendon. I really want to know, again, I'm going to nail you like I did with Alex. How much force is there? If a tendon is tight, what is that? What is that mathematically? How much force is there? And force might not be the right word. Tension. How much tension is there? Right? I know you didn't do that. That's why I'm saying to you that you need to.
And then a comparison between the different tendons too.
Listen, what did she say?
Sorry,
No, go ahead.
there's a delay. I didn't mean to interrupt.
Go ahead, Heather.
A comparison between the different tendons, like how much force is needed to tighten or untighten tendons in different places in your body. Like what your arms compared to your legs, what's the difference in that? Or your wrist? Like which one is more easier to injure or have problems with tightness? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That was my next question too, is are the tendons in your shoulders and your hips exactly the same as your fingers and your toes?
No.
Does that change which ones are more likely to have injuries and or the tightness issue?
The injuries would come to which ones are used more, which are used like heavy lifting. That'll cause your.
Oh, you said repetitive use. Did you say carpal tendons?
What's carpal tendon?
Ah,
I feel like you've scratched the surface.
Yeah.
And once you got your surface scratched, your itch was satisfied for a minute and a half, and then you just finished.
Yep.
Yeah, I want you to scratch it until you're bleeding to death.
Oh, that's it.
And did you say tendonitis?
That's what I have. Yeah, that sucks. It's the worst thing ever.
I didn't say tendonitis. You put it in
What is
tendonitis when we did the.
Tendonitis is where your muscles
I went to a
But
specific
aren't they
place.
don't they kind of go together?
Tendonitis is a broad area and they'll deal with.
Which means swelling. And if you have tight tendons, are you not going to have slight tears and then swelling?
In severe cases, yeah.
I had tight tendon in my kneecap. I had jumper's knee, patellar tendonitis. Is that not a tight tendon?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And you had that because I remember you wearing choke pads, right? Those little band thingies on your knee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh well.
That's personal experience that should probably be in there.
Oh well.
Hey, what's tendonitis?
I just told you.
Yeah, but I couldn't hear you.
It's where your muscles and tendons are too mature for your joints.
And using them cause swelling of them too.
It doesn't cause.
Doesn't that happen more
You-
old people? Okay, the next person
Yeah,
presents and
yeah,
getting
yeah.
bored.
Well, I was bored when you presented to it, and I didn't say that.
Well, he just did, so.
The second part of critical friend is?
Being harsh.
No, that's the
Listening.
right part. That's the first part. Remember the second part.
As presenters, you guys need to remember your audience. I'm getting an awful lot of impression from you as presenters that your most important job is to have the information for yourself. But in reality, you always need to remember that that information has to be translated to an audience. So it's okay that you know what's going on up there, but if we don't and we're not there, then we're lacking it.
Hey,
Alright, so who's next?
Riley.
Riley.
I am.
Erica. Oh, Erica was, I'm sorry. I lost my mind there.
Okay.
And then Riley.
Yeah. Wait, you and Erica the same one?
No, I had a sanitary tape, mine doesn't work, my computer doesn't work, but it just. Remember during English? Yeah, that's right. Oh, we're gonna see it this one.
Last time they were by the desk, they're not there now.
What? Oh, no. I don't know if we should, but it was turning back up.
Gee.
Chill.
What did I do?
Erica, you can have a problem here.
I sent it to Paige's computer.
Okay, cool.
We've had it covered, don't doubt it.
I am halfway amazed at that. Nice job, ladies.
How did,
You should just say that to Erica.
Okay, nice job, Erica.
no.
The same
Oh,
exact
good,
thing.
hit second screen only duplicate. Duplicate? Yeah.
Shut up.
You could do duplicate.
Yeah, duplicate is what you should have done.
Say it again, I dare you.
Do it again. Erica, pull it out again and push it back in again.
I believe he said no.
Dog. Are we changing parameters? You know what? Pen. Your pen, are you changing variables?
I'm gonna have a better this.
I'm gonna have more fun.
Erica, do you have something on your screen? Because we don't.
Yes, I do.
We do not.
No, actually, it's
It's Control F10, Erica.
Oh, something's coming down, Joe.
Don't change. Do one.
It says not supported, so your thing's not coming up. Yes, it is.
It says something about starting someone's house on time.
Come on, but it wouldn't say the
Yeah,
thing.
then you gotta come out and
See?
I know how it's walking it down.
Yeah.
Alright, get that back up. We're not gonna get out.
Erica, do you ever get the feeling that you just should never present anything?
Yeah, pretty much.
Now go back to duplicate.
You can.
Find this quicker.
Why does it hate me? I'll keep this for.
Last time you had to send it to me.
The computer just hates you.
Actually, technology just hates you.
You're not disturbed? So I don't get disturbed.
Highlight.
Why don't we try to have her, oh, we don't know if we can't anymore, she took the program out to do it,
You
wireless.
could send it to me. You could send me.
Yeah, that could work too.
No.
You might have to. Your computer
Because we're not here.
Actually, technology.
You're being.
You can hold it.
It's not supported.
Yeah, I get some good news.
I know, we just don't have as big a
Bigger roll.
I spilled it on myself.
Let's do that. Let's send it to
Are you gonna try Erica's computer?
Paige.
No,
I
yeah.
sit there
That
and
is
turn
Paige's
my
computer.
hand
Mine doesn't work.
She's
Then
sending
send
it to
him.
me.
roll at all.
Why the computer doesn't work?
Well, Erica's causing problems.
Yeah.
Hopefully get out of school.
I bet you
We're not
won't.
gonna get out of school.
We can possibly get out later.
Here's the dongle.
We're not gonna get out of school.
Someone already has to.
Gracie, we're not
Yeah,
getting
that's
out.
gonna get out of tomorrow. Probably gonna stick it out for the rest of the day.
We're not
Yeah.
going to school until
Unless
it's
it
too
picks
late.
up worse and then.
I don't know if we're gonna be able to handle this because I can barely see the completely other
Is
side
this
of town.
sleet or snow?
It's like a little bit both.
Looks like slate because it's hitting the ground and rolling.
Oh, no, I didn't.
Oh boy, we have to get out.
Oh
Yeah.
boy.
Sleet's dangerous.
We'll probably die.
I'm tired.
Amen.
of
Humans are highly allergic to snow.
That is the only reason why we.
We had